Hello friends, we are discussing the directing. So in directing, the previous session we have discussed the different theories of motivation. So in continuation that we will see the next theory of motivation. So the Macklein's need theory of motivation. So the David Macklin and he was the American psychologist who developed the needs theory of motivation, also called as the three need theory, right? Also called as the learn needs theory. Okay, so remember, name are different but it is one and only the same, right? So the three need theory or the learned needs theory is nothing but the Macklein's need theory of motivation. So the Maclean has recognized the three fundamental important want that motivate the people. Okay, so Maclean said that either people work for the need for the power, either need for the affiliation or need for the achievement. Okay, so only three reasons are there, right, which motivate the people. First is what? The power. They will seek for the power, the people will seek for the affiliation, and people will seek for the achievement to do something, right? So people will only get motivated to achieve something. People will only get motivated if there are some affiliation and if they need the power, right? So one by one, what is the need of power? So according to, very simple, according to the Macklein's need theory, there are three basic factors which motivate the people. First is the need for power, need for affiliation, and need for the achievement, right? First, what is need for power? The desire to influence and control other, often leading to individual to seek the leadership role. So the trait include the assertiveness and the practical approach. So what is need for the power? See, some people will get motivated if they are in power, right? For example, say in the politics, right? Everybody want to be the minister, chief minister, like means what they need power, right? And that's why they will get motivated more, right? Next, the need for affiliation. What is affiliation? Means what? Feeling we feel affiliated in the family, right? So the preference for the social connection and the intimacy, which are characterized by the deriving satisfaction from the relationship and helping others during the hard times. So it is very much common, right? Why people will get motivated? See, if you are having the family members, right, good family, having good relationship, right, that means you will get affiliated to them and you will get motivated at a workplace too, right? Need for achievement means simply the Macklin identified that a strong need for achievement, also called as the NH. So remember, NH means what? Simply NH is simply the short form for the need for achievement. N for need and H for the achievement, right? So remember, NH is nothing but the need for the achievement. So the Macklin identified that the strong need for the achievement among certain individuals who possesses the following characteristics. So simply, the Macklin identified that the person who is having the risky nature, willingness, and the commitment, they are able to achieve something, right? Very simple. In simple way, Macklin says that which people can do the achievement? Simply who are able to take the risk, who are willing to do, and who are really having the hard commitment, right? So only that people are able to achieve. So what is the risk? Simply the high achievers are willing to take the moderate and the calculated risk. Willingness means simply achiever will have desire for immediate feedback to assess their performance. That means they are willing, they are positive taking things, right? Then the commitment. So the commitment to completing the objective successfully and valuating the intrinsic reward over monitoring in. What is intrinsic reward? Means job satisfaction, right? That is what simply the part of intrinsic reward over the monetary rewards. So that commitment to do the job and have the job satisfaction will result into the achievement. So the Macklin said that the risk, willingness, and the commitment, these are the part. If you are having these are the characteristics, then only you are able to achieve. So these are the part of the Macklein's need theory of motivation. They have identified that the need for the power, need for the affiliation, and need for the achievement. Remember, okay? Remember the power, affiliation, and the achievement. These are the things which you have to remember. Okay. Now, next theory is the Porter and the Law's theory of motivation. Okay, so this theory is based on the assumption that the receiving reward lead to the sense of fulfillment. That means If I do the work, I should receive the reward. Then I will get the sense of fulfillment, that is happiness, right? So according to this theory, the performance is not necessarily a direct result of being satisfied. On contrary, once the people have achieved their goal of satisfaction, they are more likely to become the complacent. Means what? Simply, very simple. When simple means what? First, you should have the goal of satisfaction. So if the reward system is successful, performance can result into the feeling of satisfaction. That means what? Simply, the good reward system will lead to the satisfaction, right? So see, the Porter and the Law's theory of motivation says that it is simply have one assumption, that if you are receiving the reward, then you will have the sense of fulfillment, right? And according to this theory, performance is not necessarily a direct result of being satisfied. Means what? Simply, if you are satisfied means your performance is definitely good or bad? No. If you are satisfied means your performance will definitely good or bad? No, lie. That means what? Performance is not necessarily a direct result of being satisfied. It is very, very important, right? So what they have assumed that if you receive the reward, then you will have the satisfaction. But vice versa, reverse is not true. Remember, in exam point of view, it is very, very important. If the person is satisfied, then whether it is true that he has performed well? No, it is a wrong statement. According to the Porter and Law's theory, if the performance is good, then he will have the sense of fulfillment. That is what the satisfaction, right? And it is linked with the rewards. So next theory is equity theory. It is also called as the, see, name itself indicates equity means what? We have to maintain the equilibrium, the balance we have to maintain. So equity theory also called as the, it is simply the balance between the contribution and the reward. Means what? The balance between what work you are doing and what you are getting from the work. Okay, so it may be the salary, right? So the John S. Adam, who was the psychologist, developed the equity theory in early 1960. Okay, who developed the Adam? This theory deals with the defining and measuring the rational satisfaction of the employee, measuring the relational satisfaction of the employee. Relational satisfaction means what? They are supposed to relate satisfaction with what? The work they are doing and they are what they are getting, right? So they are simply so the equity theory simply relate the input and output of the job. How much work you are doing is the input, how much salary or the satisfaction you are getting from that is the output, right? So that's why it is called as the relational satisfaction of the employee. So Adam says that the worker try to balance between the what they give and what they receive from the organization, right? So the concept, that is what simply how much you do, like it is simply in a simple way, it is like a salary, work as per the salary, right? So the concept of equity is based on the employee's action. Motivations are dilated by the sense of fairness, disparities. What do you mean by disparity? Simply equity with respect to the worker, equity compared to the co-workers. Simply if like that means what? All clerical is getting same salary, is like simply we can say the equity in among the worker in the workplace. Okay, so what is the what the equity theory says that whatever the job input I am putting, the similar way I should get the outcome from the job. So what are the job input I am putting? For example, number of working hours I am putting, what is my educational qualifications, what is my work performance, what is my experience. So these are the input I am putting into the job. What outcome I am expecting, the promotion I am expecting, the salary I am expecting, bonuses, recognition, reward. So these are the outcome I am expecting. If there is balance between the input and the output from the job, it is nothing but the equity theory. Okay, remember the only two things. Equity means we have to maintain the equilibrium of input and output from the job. Next theory is the V-Room's expectancy theory. So it is also again a very, very interesting. V-Room stands for simply the Victor Room. The theory is developed by Victor Froome. So is an example of the process explanation of the motivation. So V-Room's expectancy is nothing but the theory explains us the process of motivation, right? It states that the individual's expectations about the future influences their motivational level. So what I am planning in the future, that will motivate me. Okay, for example, my future plan is what? If suppose I am the clerical staff, right, and my future planning is to put my children into the a good school, so that I need more money, so I will get motivated automatically to take a promotion and to become the officer. That is a simple thing, right? So future influences the motivational level, that is called as the V-Room's expectancy theory. So that theory of motivation, according to the V-Room, the specific factor that determine the individual's level of motivation are the degree to which he believe that in the value, expectancy, instrumentality and the incentive, right? So what do you mean by value here? Value is the importance of the reward associated with the action. Expectancy is nothing but the belief in the possibility of achieving the positive result from the effort, and the instrumentality is nothing but the belief that the positive outcome will lead to the reward. Incentive, simply it can be classified as intrinsic or the extrinsic. Intrinsic means job satisfaction, like the internal. Extrinsic means like a person salary. Okay, so what is the V-Room? According to the V-Room, the factor that determine the individual level of motivation, these are the degree to which he believe in the value, expectancy, instrumentality and the incentive. So what is the motivation formula here? Motivation formula, if M, then it is equal to V into I into E, where M is the motivation, V stands for the value, I stands for the instrumentality and E for the expectancy. Okay. So what are the implications of the V-Room's concept for the individual? How it is? So according to the V-Room, individual motivation derived from the three key factors. Okay, what are that? Simply again I repeat, V for the valence, E for the expectancy and I for the instrumentality. So valence is nothing but here it refers to the degree of the importance placed on a potential reward linked to the specific action. So here valence means what? Simply how much importance is given to the specific action, right? For example, if you have achieved 100% of target, right, you are getting the 5% of the bonus. If you have achieved the 150% of the target, you are getting 20% of the bonus. Means what? For every percentage of the achievement of the target, there is a link with some percentage of the bonuses. Means what? It is a degree of importance placed on the reward. So next is the expectancy. So this refers to the degree of a belief in the correlation between the effort and the desired result. So it is simply relation between what how much effort you are putting and what is your desired result out of that result, out of that work, out of that effort, right? This is what the expectancy. It is simply expectancy means what? How much you are work doing and what you expect. For example, very simple. If you are doing sincere effort, if you are working as a cashier in the bank, if you are sincerely and consciously working as a cashier, then what you can expect in the evening? You are expecting that cash will be tallied in the first attempt itself. This is what the expectancy, right? Next is the instrumentality. So it referred to the belief that achieving desired outcome will lead to the actual rewards. So I believe that whatever I am achieving as a desired, right, whatever I am expecting as outcome will be the actual reward I am getting. Means what? Simply instrumentality, it is nothing but the achieving desired outcome and that will lead to the actual reward. So I am expecting that I will do good work and in a proportion I will get the rewards. So the lack of motivation indicates the absence of any of these. Means what? Absence of valence, absence of the expectancy or the absence of the instrumentality. So this theory is helpful to identify the factors which are responsible for the low level of motivation. If you are missing anything, for example, valence, expectancy or the instrumentality, then I can say you are having lack of motivation, right? So remember, the presence of valence, expectancy and the instrumentality will lead to the high level of motivation. Okay, so remember the meaning of each characteristics here: valence, expectancy and the instrumentality. Now see here you will get the better idea about the V-Room's expectancy theory of motivation. So see, expectancy means what? Simply the effort you are putting. Instrumentality means with respect to the performance, and the valency is nothing but rewards. So see, do I believe that my increased effort will directly improve my performance? This is what the expectancy. Am I confident that the performing will lead to the desired outcome? This is the instrumentality. And how valuable is the expected reward for outcome to me personally, right? This is what the valency. Okay, so this is the simply the crux of the theory. Remember the only this meaning of the expectancy, whether I believe that my increased effort will directly improve my performance. If I am doing work and I am doing some extra work, whether it will be beneficial, this is expectancy. Instrumentality means what? Whatever I am doing will I get the desired result. This is the instrumentality. And valency means what? How valuable is the expected reward to me personally? If they are offering some money, if they are offering only the trophy, whether it is how that reward is important for me personally, right? So this is the valency. So these are what? The expectancy theory of a motivation. Now, implication of a V-Rooms theory for leader and the organization. So how it is important for us as a leader or as an organization. So the V-Room model helped to make it clear that make available to the people the kind of reward they care about. Means what? We should align the reward with the preference of the individual, right? So if I expect the promotion, I should get. If I am expecting some monetary benefit, I should get, right? That means reward should align with the expectations. So these make intrinsic or the extrinsic depending on what people are thinking about, what people want, right? It may be the position, recognition, opportunity, or the monetary incentive. Next, individuals should be given the goal that should be achievable. Okay, you should not use the target which are not achievable, right? So the goal should be, the target should be achievable. So the leader should set achievable goals for the individual and the teams, ensuring that they are attainable without the assistance. Then make sure that to give out the incentive which were promised and when they were earned. Means what? There is the issue of trust, right? So if the general manager promises that if you achieve that much of business, then I will offer you the promotion, and in the promotion list you find your name is not there. So this is what the breach of trust, right? So the trust must be there, right? Whatever you have promised, and that must be fulfilled, right? So make sure that give out the incentive which were promised and when they are earned by the respective employee. So trust is one of the important. So the organization must fulfill the promise with respect to the incentive, and they have to maintain the motivation and the commitment. Next, self-determination theory. So what is self-determination theory? It is believed that each person possesses the capacity to choose his own path in the life and take responsibility for managing his own affair. See, self means what? Simply your own. See, self-determination means what? I am the clerical staff. I want to become an officer. I want to become manager. I want to become general manager. Means what? This is a personal choice, right? So self-motivation is important. Self-determination is important. So this quality is very important in terms of the person's psychological health and the well-being too. So people have the experience of regaining the control over their lives, right? So the choice they make when they practice the self-determination. So in self-determination theory, one of the most important concept is the intrinsic motivation, right? So name itself is indicating self-determination means what? I should get motivated myself, right? So which refer to the act of engaging behavior for the sake of the reward that result from the behavior. So the work of the psychologist Edward Bexkey and the Richard Rand was the foundation for the development of self-determination theory. So who have given the most contribution for the self-determination theory? The Edward Bexkey and the Richard Ryan, which suggested that the people are driven by the desire to improve themselves and find the satisfaction at their life. So obviously, so that they say that the people are driven by the desire to improve themselves. Okay, so if I have desire to improve myself, then only I am able to perform. So this is all about very simple, the self-determination theory. And the only one word you should remember about the self-determination theory, that it is directly linked with the intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic means inner motivation. Next, what do you mean by the communication? So it is very easy. Communication. So communication refers to the act of conveying meaning from one to other, right? It may be by the way of shared symbols, according to the I.A. Richard, an English literal, who said that the communication takes place when one mind is so act upon its environment that another mind is influenced, and in that other mind an experience occur which is likely the experience in the first mind, and it is caused in part by that experience. So this is very simple meaning of Richard. So he is talking about the feeling from one person to another person, like that. Okay, in short, what the I.A. Richards defined the communication as an influence occurring when one mind interact with another, generating the similar experience. Okay, very basic meaning of communication. Now come to the point, we have discussed the different communication model. What is a linear model? Linear means what? One way communication. You are sending one to other place. For example, you are sending the courier from one place to other place, right? It is like one way communication. Okay, it is called as the linear model. So it has been developed by the Harold Loswell, then the Claude Shannon and the Warren Weaver. The Loswell described the communication as answer to the following question: who, what does it say, in what channel, whom exactly, which result exactly. Okay, so this is what, this is the result to that question is nothing but the communication as per the Loswell. Now the Shannon and the Weaver's model explain the communication illustrating the 5 components. For example, origin of the information, transformation channel, receiver and the destination. If you are explaining that, there is what the communication according to the Shannon and Weaver. So this model has a simplicity but a lack of universal acceptance. So see, this is not important about each and everything, right? But you should remember some overview, right? So what is communication? Linear model means for simply one way communication. Okay, so if the question to answer who, what does it say, in what channel, whom exactly, which result exactly, this is what the communication as per the Loswell. And the Shannon and Weaver says that there are 5 components. For example, origin of information, the transmission of information, transmission channel used, the receiver and the destination. So answer to this is simply the communication, and this model is simply have the simple, because it is one way communication, this is simple but lack of universal acceptance. Then what is the dynamic model? Then dynamic means simply, in simple way I can say it is a two-way communication, both, right? So the best example I will tell you, for example point of view, for easy to remember, linear model means like walkie talkie. At one time one person only speaking, right? Then if A is speaking with B, A will say hello, this over, means what? It is like walkie talkie. And dynamic model means like a mobile communication, right? To both person at a time they can speak and they can communicate. So the dynamic communication model are designed to address the needs of the communication student, right? And they are emphasizing the conscious interaction and the thoughtful responses. So these are a very simple communication models. Now see the concept of communication. The two of the most fundamental principle of communication are they are irreversible of irreversibility of the communication. That means once you have talked something on the phone, you cannot call it back, right? It is simply the communication. Once the email has been sent, how can you draw it back? No, that is what the irreversibility of the communication. And second is what? The active listening for the business success. So communication is a two-way process. There must be the proper, you can note that once sent, you cannot retrieve it back. And second is there must be the active listener for the effective communication, right? So the key concept in the communication involve ethical communication practices within the organization, organizational culture and the conflict resolution method. Okay, so these are the key concept in the effective communication at the workplace. Now see what the levels of communication. So levels of communication can be categorized into the 5 levels. First is the communication not directed towards me. Means what? Communication can take place not only within the human but also with non-human also. How? See, extra personal communication refer to interaction between individual and non-human species. So in this communication, the sign language is used by one of the participants and other participant uses the oral communication. So it is like one-way communication also, but not directed towards me, means simply one person will talk, one person simply talk and other will only use the sign language. Second, communication between the individual. So both the sender and the receiver must use the shared language to convey their message. For example, both are talking in English, so they will able to get the things. Third is the intrapersonal communication. I mean simply it is talking to oneself, intrapersonal. We use the intrapersonal communication in many situations. For example, choosing the diet plan to reduce the weight, or when we need to forgive someone by engaging in self-reflection. So that time we use the intrapersonal communication, means talking to oneself, only one person we are talking, right? So this is very simple and basic. Communication not directed towards me means what? The communication, one person will speak and other will remain silent, or other will use the only the sign language. Communication between individual means simply they can talk. Intrapersonal means talking to oneself only. Next is the organizational communication. So this occur in a three direction. It may be the upward, downward, or the horizontal, within or outside the company. So it is very simple. Organizational communication. Upward communication means what? Branch manager has sent a mail to the zonal manager. This is upward communication. Downward means what? Reverse zonal manager has a communication with the branch manager. And the horizontal means what? One branch manager is sent a mail to other branch. This is what the horizontal communication. The field of mass communication. So it includes the printed material, like for example newspaper, magazine. So like mass media, newspaper, magazine, and the various technology, like for example Gmail, voicemail, video conference, etc. So these are the mass communication. Now see the communication in the organization. How in organization we should communicate, right? So organizational communication is a broad field that include all form of communication. For example, that will obviously how we communicate and why we communicate in the organization, to grow, to connect with the people, even to connect with the stakeholder and contribute to the society. So communication within the organization allows us to accomplish the following. Why? See, if we do communicate, we can execute our duty, we can have the innovative responses, we can simply support advance to the policy. If we are able to communicate, then only we will follow the bank policy, right? Then also it fosters the relationship among the employee, that will boost the moral satisfaction and the fulfillment. It also helps the management in coordinating, planning, controlling the operational activity. So these are the reason why communication in the organization is important. Now why communication again is important? Simply, effective communication will enhance the learning, teamwork, safety, innovation, etc. Engaging employee is crucial for the job satisfaction. So through communication, we can engage the employee. Apart from that, the organizational learning is vital for maintaining the competitive advantages, particularly if the workforce is having diverse generation. For example, some people may be from generation X, some may be the millennials, some may be the baby boomers, like that. So the different generation outlook necessitates a shared vision. And youth employee referring a brief communication, they will prefer. So obviously our youth employee prefer the brief, and the senior people will need the detailed explanation. So that's why the communication is important, right? Next, supervision. So what is supervision? Supervision is basically, supervision is the Latin word, right? Super means from the above, super means from the above, and vision means to see, right? So supervision means simply overseeing the activity of the other, like supervisor does, right? Supervision refer to the direct and the immediate guidance, control of the subordinates in the performance of their task. Okay, what is supervision means? You are overseeing your team. So the George R. Terry and the Stephen G. Franklin have defined the supervision as the guiding and directing effort of the employee and other resources to accomplish the stated work output. So the legal regulatory policy need may be mandated the supervision within the organization. So see, supervisor post is nowadays is important. See, who does the supervision in the bank? The bank manager, the branch manager is doing the supervision of all staff, right? So very simple supervision. Now see, the supervisor plays two important role, right? So very simple. See, here is the supervisor, here are the workers, and here is the suppose the higher authority. So supervisor has two basically important work. He will communicate whatever higher authorities are saying to the team members, and he will also communicate what are the problem faced by team members to the higher authority. Okay, so these are the two. That means while we can say he act as a link between the subordinate and the management. Okay, he will also act as the guide, motivator, and the mentor to his staff. Now, what are the required quality for the effective supervisor? So it is very simple. Supervisor should have the leadership quality. Then only he will able to supervise the staff. Supervisor should be knowledgeable and having the topmost skill, so that he will be the ideal leader for his subordinates. Then what personal traits should be have to the effective supervisor? The social skill, empathy, honesty, courage, self-confidence. These skill, technical ability should be having if the supervisor need to be effective. Then degree of a supervision. Obviously, supervisor should be able to decide if a general or the close supervision is required, right? How much we need to supervise the worker, that has to be decided by the supervisor. Then promoting cohesiveness of the group means what? See, effective supervision will build the team. Cohesiveness of the group means what? Team building activity. Then rapport with the supervisor. So obviously supervisor should have the good connection, good rapport with the higher authority, so that he will able to communicate what a problem the workers are facing, or anything suggestions or the performance of the worker with the seniors. Okay, so these are the basic quality the so effective supervisor should need. Next, what is the importance of the supervision? So importance of the supervision includes issue of orders and the instruction. So who will issue the orders to the instruction? Because supervisor is directly in contact with the workers, right? So supervisor can issue the order and the instruction. Planning and the organizing organizing of the work. So obviously supervisor do the planning, and he will do the prepare the schedule and different target to individuals, so that planning and organizing work is done by the supervisor. Then proper assignment of the work. So supervisor makes systematic allotment of the work and the activity, and also it promotes the effective utilization of the resources, and he can also delegate the authority to the different worker in the group. So we can say proper assignment of the work can be done by the supervisor. Next, the better utilization of the resources. Obviously supervisor knows each and everything, right? So the supervision lead to the minimum wastage. So somebody is watching you, you will do more effective work, right? So the wastage, if the production line like that, then wastage will be minimized. So we can say supervisor also monitor the deviation between the actual output and what we have planned. Next, improved motivation, discipline and the group cohesiveness. So if there is supervisor, the people will get motivated, they will be in discipline, and they will have the group cohesiveness. Means what? The team building activity. Then it provides vital link between the worker and the management. So obviously the supervisor has to communicate the problem of the worker with the management, and supervisor has to implement whatever the policy and the target from the management to the worker. So it is acting as a link between the worker and the management. Okay friends, here is the end of this chapter. We will continue our discussion in the next video.